Okay, so first of all, I would like to welcome you all to our brand new series, and we are going to have here some sort of cloud programming. And in this case, in this series, we are going to use Google Apps Script. Okay, so this is some sort of introduction to Google Apps Script. So first of all, what is Google Apps Script? So JAS or Google Apps Script is a cloud-based uh, scripting language for extending the functionality of Google Workspace apps. Okay, so first of all, we are going to take notice it is cloud-based. So therefore, all of the resources, okay, so will be in the cloud. So for example, our IDE, okay, so we are going to have our IDE in our in the cloud, and also with the files will be automatically stored into into the cloud, particularly with Google Cloud. Okay, so meaning we are not going to have the files in our local device. Okay, so everything will be on the cloud, particularly in our case, it would be with the Google servers. Okay, so it is a scripting language. Okay, so therefore, uh, we are going to do some programming here. Okay, so take note of that. So we'll be working with Google Workspace apps. Okay, with a specific scripting language. Okay, so in which we are going to have that later on. Okay, what's the purpose? For extending the functionality of Google Workspace apps. Okay, so what are the benefits for us in learning Google Apps Script? So first, we are going to automate repetitive tasks. For example, the company you're working with, just for example, is they're going to say, you are going to send email every day to our customers, for example. Okay? Or let us say twice a day we are going to send email to certain customers. Okay? So instead that you are going to do it manually, so you are just going to create some scripts. Then your script is going to automatically send emails based on the schedule that you have set. Okay? So create custom functions. Okay, so with the Google Workspace apps as in the background, okay, so you could create your own functionalities. Okay, and we are going to have many of them as we go along with our scripting proper. And also, we could actually build web applications. Okay, so um, we have already done some web apps, okay, with different frameworks. For example, we have the Next.js, we have the JavaScript, then we and PHP and different frameworks. Okay, so here we could also build same applications that we have created in the past. Okay, by using then just the Google Apps Script. And take note, this is automatically hosted in the cloud for free by Google. Okay, because take note, when we have created our apps or web apps in our Next.js framework, so that it would become accessible to the internet, so we must have to buy hosting package from different let's say internet providers, or let us say hosting companies, for example GoDaddy and Bluehost and others. Okay, but here, as we are going to create our web apps, automatically it would be hosted by Google for free. Okay, and if ever that you want to register some domains, for example, yourname.com, okay, so we could do that, and the hosting for the files would be free from Google, and you are just going to pay for the domain name for the domain registers. Okay, so these are the things that we could do with Google Apps Script. Okay, so what are the prerequisites? So what are the things that you must have known, okay, before you could work with Google Apps script. So for first is we have HTML and CSS for the web applications. Okay, then JavaScript for the scripting. Okay, so take note. So therefore, as I've said, it is a scripting language, and by the way, the base language here is JavaScript. So you must have knowledge in vanilla JavaScript. So take note, it is vanilla JavaScript because it is pure JavaScript code. Okay, not with some frameworks. Okay, another one is Google Workspace familiarity. Okay, so you must be familiar with or work previously with some of the Google Workspace apps. Okay, and the last is your account in Google Workspace. Okay, so what are, okay, just a review, what are the Google Workspace? Okay, it is formerly known as the G Suite. Okay, Google Suite. It is a collection of cloud-based productivity and collaboration tools developed by Google. And as you can see, these are their icons, their logos. Okay, I know that you are familiar with this. So we have the Gmail, we have the Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Forms, the calendar, and Google Drive, and so on. Okay, so meaning we will be creating scripts, okay, that is going to automate some functions, some tasks or procedures, okay, with any of these applications. Okay, so I know all of you are familiar with Gmail. Okay, so therefore we could, based on our outside of Gmail, we could actually create, or we could send email outside of Gmail by creating or by using Google Apps Script. Okay, and we are going to have some of those as we go along. So not only with Gmail, but also with all of these applications. Okay, so we'll be working closely with all of this. So therefore, you must be at least have some experience in working with any of these applications. Okay. So there are two types of scripts that we are going to work with. Okay. So first is we have the standalone scripts. A standalone script is any script that is not bound to Google Sheets, Docs, Slides, or Forms files, or any of those applications. These scripts appear among your files in Google Drive. Okay, so take note, and this will be actually our first projects. Okay, so we'll be creating first standalone scripts so that we could be familiar with the language or the scripting language of JAS, okay, before we're going to work with the container-bound scripts. Okay, so a container-bound script, by the way, it is a script bound to a Google Sheet, Docs, Slides, or Forms, and if it was created from the document rather than as a standalone script. Okay, so what's the difference now of a standalone and a container-bound script? So a container-bound script is created within any of these documents from these applications. Okay, and the file that the bound script is attached to is called a container. For example, from within Google Sheets, you are going to create a script from within. Take note, from within the Google Sheet or any of these. So that is called a container-bound script. Okay, but if ever you are going to create outside of any of these, it is called standalone scripts. Okay, and again, as I've said, we are going to have first our standalone scripts, and once we will be get familiar with the scripting language, okay, we are then going to work with container-bound scripts and so on. Okay, so how are we going to set up our development environment? As I have said before a while ago, we are going to work mainly in the cloud. Okay, So again, I would like to reiterate that there are no local files that we are going to work with. So everything is going to be uploaded to Google Drive or to wherever are we going to create uh, our script is. Okay. And by the way, all files must be in Google Drive. Okay. If ever we are going to use an external files, for example, images, videos, and so on, or any other files that we are going to work with from our script, all of them are going to be uploaded to Google Drive. Okay. So how are we going to create a new script? Okay. So based on the prerequisite that I have discussed in the previous slide, first of all, you must have your Google Workspace account, okay? Or if you must have your Google account, okay? So if ever you have your Google account, just go to Google Drive, okay? Take note, we are going to create first a standalone script, okay? So that is why we are going to go to Google Script. Then, script Google Drive. Okay. So then, on the Google Drive, click on New. Then with the submenu More and Google Apps Script. So we have here. We could just actually right-click or go to New, then More, and we are going to select Google Apps Script. I'm going to show you later on. Then, once we have once Google has loaded our IDE, so this will be the IDE that we are going to work with. Okay. So then it is here where you could see our files. Okay, files, the libraries and services that we could work with, and by default, Google is going to create a script file named code.js. And by default, it's going to create a function named myFunction. Okay, so it is then we are then going to run our application or our script by clicking on the Run menu here or button. Okay, so I'm going to show you now on how are we going to create our first script. Okay, so I'm using here my browser is Yandex, by the way, and I am now inside Google Drive. Okay, so just go to drive.google.com, and I'm using here an account, okay, Imruda. Okay, imruda@gmail.com. This is the account that I'm using here for my lecture. Okay, so we could click on New, then More, and Google Apps Script. And by the way, we are going to have later on, we're also going to have Google Sites and the other applications. And by the way, in my case, from my drive, I have created a folder named Google Apps Script. Okay, so that I'm going to use this one here for my discussion with our topic, different topics. So I am now inside my Google Apps Script folder, and inside my Google Apps Script folder, aside from New, I could also right-click anywhere here, then More, then Google Apps Script. Okay, so Google is now going to create. Okay, we'll have access. So create script. So it is now going to create a file. Okay. This may take a few moments. It is now reading our ID, and this is now our ID. And as you can see, we have here untitled projects. I'm going to change my untitled project. I'm just going to have here lecture. Okay, tutorial. Okay, I'm just going to have my lecture here. Okay, so rename. So as you can see, we have here now our lecture. That's the name of our project. And if ever I'm going to go back here, okay, it's still untitled. It is going to update later on. So this is now the file that I have created. Okay, so I have here now by default, and again, we have here code.js. Okay, so we have here function, my function. So by default, we have my function. Actually, you could also change this one, but I'm just going to follow first. Okay, the default name of the function. Okay. So next is, okay, so I'm going to create here, okay, a logger.log. Now, if ever you have your JavaScript before, so this is our console.log. Okay, so I'm just going to have here hello Google Apps script. Okay, now take note this is JavaScript, so you could have your semicolon, or you could just leave as it is. But in my case, I'm just going to use semicolon. Okay, so next is I'm going to have here save project. So I have now saved my project, and if ever that I'm going to execute this script, I'm just going to click on run. Okay, execution log, so we have it here. Okay, let us wait for a little while. Okay, so we have here now, you could see here Google Apps script. Hello, Google Apps script. Okay, so that's the output for our logger. Okay, so as I have said, the language that we are going to use here is actually JavaScript. Okay, so although it doesn't follow, I think it doesn't follow the latest version of JavaScript. Okay, so we're just going to have them later on. Okay, so for example, let's say var x is equal to 5, var y is equal to 3. Then you could have var, let us say sum is equal to 0. Then sum is equal to x plus y. Then I'm just going to show, I'm going to display the sum of, let's say, I'm just going to have it there. The sum is then concatenated with the sum. Okay, so let's try. Okay, so you can see it there, the sum is 8. Okay, so what I'm showing you here is the basics of JavaScript, and as I've said, it follows the language, or the scripting language that we're going to use here is JavaScript. Okay, so for example, I'm going to use here, I'm going to create here a function, get sum, then x comma y. Okay, so I'm going to return x plus y. Okay, so let's say, so I'm going to remove them. I'm going to remove that. No, also with this. Then I'm going to have get sum, then let us say 7 comma 9. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm calling here, I have created here a function that is going to return the sum of two values of these two parameters. Okay, so I have here get sum, then I have passed as parameters the values of 7 and 9. Okay, so as I'm going to run, by the way, when we click on run, it is going to automatically save our file, then executes it. Okay, so you can see here the sum is 16. Okay, so we have here how are we going to call a function, classes, okay, and so on. Okay, so what I have just showed so far is it uses, or it also follows the basics of JavaScript. Okay, so that is why before we could go further, if ever you have no background in JavaScript, you must have to have some practice or some tutorials first with JavaScript. Okay, now I'm going to show you a sample application or a sample function that we could use to send an email. Okay, so for example, I'm going to have here function send email. Okay, I'm just going to have it this way. Okay, so if ever that we are going to send an email, okay, so we are then going to use a service from Google. The term there is service. Okay, so but first I'm just going to have some variables. Let us say recipient, or let us say 2 is equal to okay, I'm going to use my account. Okay, so that is now my the recipient. Okay, this is where I'm going to send my email. Then I'm going to have the subject is equal to, this is the subject. Okay, and we have our body. From okay, so actually there are still a lot. For example, other variables. For example, we're going to have CC. Okay, BCC blind. What's the meaning of CC? Okay, so then we have attachments and so on. Okay, so a carbon copy. Okay, so we have CC, BCC, attachment, and so on. But here, I'm just showing you here a sample on how are we going to use a service from Google. Okay, so I'm just going to have a try catch here. Okay, try then catch, and we're going to have an error. Return, we're just going to have okay, a backtick. Something went wrong, and the error. Okay, whatever is our error. Okay, but anyway, we're going to concentrate first on this one here. Okay, so what is the service that we are going to use to send email? So we have actually a Gmail app, but we're just going to have the Gmail into our other videos. I'm just going to have the mail app. Okay, so a mail app is the application that we could use to send an email. Okay, and it's going to use this MTP of Gmail. Okay, so mail app dot send email. Okay, okay, then so take note, that is our command. Okay, send email. So what would be then our parameters? I'm going to set here my parameters. Okay, so we have here 2, then by the way, so that you will not be okay, I'm just going to call it recipient. Then I'm just going to call this one as my subject, and for the body I'm going to call it my body. Okay, so here we're going to have the recipient. Okay, so next is we're going to have our subject. So for our subject, we're going to have our my subject, which is actually defined here, and the last is we're going to have our body. Then I'm going to have my body. Okay, so it is on this line wherein our service mail app is going to send the email. Okay, so if ever there are no errors that is going to happen, then I'm going to return let's say email sent successfully. Okay, Okay, so from here, we're going to call it from here. So I'm just going to log the return value, whatever would be our return value, by calling now send email. Okay. Oops. Okay, so let's try. So run. Okay. Since we are using here a service from Google, so it is going to ask for some permissions. Okay, so review permission. Then I'm going to allow, this is my emails. I'm going to just click on that account. Then, now, in some browsers, you are going to go directly with the login. Okay, but here I'm just going to click first on advanced. Okay, then go to lecture. Lecture, by the way, is the name of the project. Okay, so go, then allow. Anyway, this one here is going to have only on the very first time that we are going to click on or run or by using this service. And as you can see here, it says email sent successfully. So I'm going to try. I am going to try if ever I have received the email. Okay, so I have here our Outlook in my account. This is my recipient. So as you could see here now, we have the email from imruda@gmail.com. And as I'm going to click on this email, it has now opened. So we have here, this is the body of the email. Okay, it is a test from blah blah blah, and as you can see here, we have here our subject. Okay, so we can see here the subject as we have defined into our script. Okay, so it is actually that easy when we are going to use comparing it with other services, for example, the PHP mailer and the other mailers. So the easiest way on how to send email is just actually by using now our Google Apps script. Okay, so this is just the first service that I have that we are going to take in this series. Okay, we have here our mail app. This is just sample. Now we are going to have some more of this on our next video. So what I have just shown you now is we have created our script. By the way, it is GS. Okay, it is Google script, and how we have run our first code. Okay, so on our next video, I'm going to introduce how are we going to create an interface. Okay, because take note, users, okay, other users aside from us could not actually directly use this script unless we are going to give them permissions, and they don't have any interfaces unless we are going to create a web app. Okay, so in our next video, I'm going to have a web. I'm going to introduce to you how to create a web application that is going to be the interface for the user and our script. Okay, so that's all for this video, and I'll see you on the next one.